Today's show is sponsored by Profit Accumulator, the #1 match betting service in the UK. Match betting is different to gambling. With gambling, you bet on one side, and if that side loses, you lose. With match betting, you bet on both sides. That means no matter what the outcome, you're a winner. When you sign up to Profit Accumulator, they will walk you through the whole process of how to do match betting, and as long as you follow what they tell you, you cannot lose. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description right now for your free trial, and you can start earning some real cash. Hi, and welcome along to the All Guns Blazing podcast, brought to you today by Profit Accumulator. Joining me, I have Mr. DT in the building. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. How's your shielding going? Or should I say we're being shielded? Somebody said this to me the other day. They said, no, Robbie, we are currently being shielded from you.
Let me guess. Was that judges that said that?
It might be.
Yeah. I know all too well with a comment like that who would have been saying that. But no, listen, it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do. I've been out for some walks and stuff like that. Obviously, you're allowed to, and my children and my family and stuff. And just get a bit of fresh air in the lungs, man, and just not look at four walls.
You're getting the training in, eh? You're getting the training in. Ty's got rattled.
Hey, listen, Ty's fully rattled because he knows them chicken legs ain't taking him anywhere. So, listen, we'll see, man. When this is all said and done, we'll do a nice little 5K. We'll do whatever it is for charity, raise some money, and it's all good.
Do you know what I mean? About it the other night, man. I'll tell you, he's pumped. He goes, there's no way DT's beating me in a 5K.
That's fine. He can continue, man. He can. You know what? We should drag everybody involved. We should get you involved, judges involved.
No, don't get me involved. Listen, I could do 5K, but I'm not winning. I mean, sorry, I'm not. Nah, I'm not involved in that. You and Ty, you stick to it. You know, you are the ones who called out each other. I leave that up to you. But anyway, we've got a Profit Accumulator head to head. We always do our matchups. Here's a matchup for you that will really interest you. It really interested you. Have a look at this one. Who starts at right back? Bellerin, Cedric, or Ainsley Maitland-Niles? You can only pick one. Mm-hmm. You can only pick one. Who? Let's just say you had to make a decision on it, right? Out of these three players, right, the player you pick will be fit from now till the end of the season, and you are only allowed to pick one. Right, all three of them, you're guaranteed they'll be fit and can play right till the end of the season.
Yeah,
only one. Who do you pick?
Cedric.
Based off of one performance.
Based on the fact that he's always been able to attack and cross a ball. We've never ever doubted that from Cedric. He's been like it when he plays for Portugal. He has got a very good delivery. The problem with Maitland-Niles, and I've raised this many times with you, is there's good and bad moments. He always seems to have a good spell, bad spell, good spell, bad spell. And judging by Mikel's, most recent comments, is that maybe he's not training sufficiently or whatever, because the performance that he put in when he played left back was abysmal. I know that's not his position, but you still should be able to go out and do a decent enough job. But that night when he played at left back, oh my word. And then he was left out the squad completely. And Bellerin, my thoughts on Bellerin. You know that I feel, and I have felt for a long time, that we need better than Hector Bellerin. But if Cedric, like you're suggesting, they're going to be, remain fit for the duration of the season. He's more than capable of being our right back for the remainder of this season at least. And he also helps our attacking balance. What I noticed, do you know the one thing that was really good about Cedric in the game against Newcastle is that he took the pressure away from Kieran Tierney. everything didn't have to go down the left-hand side. Tierney didn't even need to have a great game by his normal standards, and nobody missed him. Nobody noticed that he wasn't his usual self because Cedric was counterbalancing it on the right-hand side. So that's what I feel that he gives, that counterbalance that we can go left or right.
I mean, you're basing it off of one performance, bit unfair on Hector Bellerin, you know what I mean? Because, you know, he's been playing week in, week out. So we've been able to see more of the flaws. But certainly Cedric did have a great game. He did have a great game the other day. I'm throwing it out to anybody who's listening or watching the podcast. If you're watching it on YouTube, put it in the comments. Who would you go with? I noticed with DT, he named Bellerin third. He didn't even have him in second place. It's like you'd have Maitland-Niles as the backup by the sound.
No, I never said that. I never said that. I'm saying that Maitland-Niles really frustrates me because if he would have really, really decided to focus on that right back position when Hector had his big injury, there wouldn't even be this debate now. You know, we probably wouldn't have even brought in Cedric. He would have been the first choice right back for Arsenal. You only have to look at Saka, for example. Young boy comes into the team. He's an attacking player. And then there was a situation where Arsenal have had to turn around to him and go, we need you to go left back. He hasn't moaned. He hasn't thought, well, I'm not really a left back, am I? What am I really going to prove? Is this going to, you know, hinder, you know, my growth within the team? Or what if I make a mistake? And he's just got on with the job. And what that did was propel him further forward and to be able to do what he needed to do. And I didn't see that same kind of attitude from Ainsley. It always seemed like, yeah, I'll go there, but I want to play in midfield.
Yeah, but you can't blame him, though. He's always been moved from pillar to post. What's his position?
The thing is, I'd probably say right back because he ain't getting in our midfield. You ain't getting ahead of the likes of Thomas Partey and all them. So you summed it up months and months and months ago. And this was the one point that you kept making, and you was always emphasizing this. You have an opportunity to be the first choice right back at Arsenal Football Club. Not midfield. Forget midfield. Forget it. You're not getting in there. You've got the opportunity to be first choice for the next 5, 6, 7+ years at Arsenal Football Club. Take it with both hands. He hasn't.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'll throw that one out to everybody and see what everybody makes their mind up on. But like you said, it was a good performance the other day against Newcastle. 3-0, comprehensive win. We fully deserved it, and great to see Aubameyang back in the goals. I mean, for starters, I mean that would have lifted him a lot.
Oh, massively. You know, there's certain people that didn't want him to start, myself included. So I'm not even just bantering other people, because even I was thinking at the time, you know what, if Martinelli's fit, put him out on that left-hand side and maybe drop over to the bench for a couple of games to see if that gives him a bit of a shake. But then I understood why Martinelli didn't start, because he's obviously come back from a big injury, then he's had a couple of niggling injuries. So it's understandable. And I was like, look, if he starts, which he did, he's got to produce. And then when he missed that opportunity in the first half, and again, I think it's such an easy target to go, you know, how's he missed that? It's a tap in, and people using still images to try and justify. It looks so much worse. In real time, that ball's whipped across. He's took a wicked deflection into his path. He's wrong-footed. He's using his weak foot. He's trying to adjust. It's happened in a split second. You know, some of these people that are telling him about moving his feet, these people can't adjust their feet properly to get out of bed in the morning. You know, and you're trying to sit there and talk to like Aubameyang. Come on, man. This is a guy that scored his 300th career goal in that Newcastle game. The guy is an out-and-out goal scorer. He's having a bad spell. How many goals has he? He's nearly got 100 Premier League goals. So I think it's about 20 odd away in terms of goals for Arsenal. And
unbelievable record.
Like, it's staggering. And he has one bad spell at the moment. Yes, it's a bad patch. Yes, it's not to the standards that he's set. But you see what he can do. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, how are you not backing him? How are you not? Yes, you can say, you know what, maybe drop him out for a couple of games. Give him a kick up the backside. Every player needs that from time to time. But some of the stuff that I've seen is ridiculous. It's like even a year ago. Do you remember when people were saying that we should sell him with the contract situation? Get rid of him. Get rid of him. It doesn't matter. We'll get the goals from somewhere else. And it's like, where are you getting the goals from?
There's no balance sometimes, is there, with some fans? It's like, it's either out you go or you better stay. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no, that's why sometimes you can't blame footballers. I said this a lot of times. You can't blame footballers when they make a decision for themselves only and their career only. And, you know, they're like, forget the club. I'm doing this for me. Because, you know, sometimes I always felt all along that if there's one player that has a lot of credit in the bank, it's Aubameyang. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I agreed with you. You know, I mean, I would have maybe have considered, and I was like you. I was thinking maybe put Martinelli in for this game and bring him on later on, give him a little break. But then I've been also arguing that when you've got a player like him of his ability, sometimes it's better to leave him in and let him play himself back into form. And he's not the only striker off form in the Premier League. I mean, you've seen Salah, even Mane, you know, Firmino, these guys who are top strikers being off form. But the problem he has is that, unlike those guys, one of them can be off form, the other one will pick it up. With him, a lot of it's over the years has been on his shoulders. Yeah. So he deserved a lot of credit in the bank. He won, you know, he was the guy that turned up in the, you know, towards the end of last season and helped us to win the cups and things like that. So I couldn't believe when some people would, how quickly they were turning on him and saying, oh, sell him. Oh, now he's got the new contract. Now he's the, I thought it was very, very unfair. I was like, this is a guy that does deserve a bit of time for, you know, how I'm all for, listen, we've got a platform that allows people to be very critical, right? I'm all for criticizing, but I think criticism, you know, make your criticism fair. If somebody's criticize him because he's been having, like you said, he's been having a poor season. And I think if you went up to him and started saying, oh, Aubameyang, you've been playing brilliantly, and that he'd know you're lying. So criticize him, say he's not been going well. But a player like that, you've got to give him a bit of credit in the bank, man, because he's been carrying us for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah. Do you remember the joke last season that with Aubameyang's, you know, without his goals, we'd be a relegation team?
Yeah, and then look, we saw that literally come to fruition this season. But listen, it was great to see him could have got a hat trick if he didn't have to go to the toilet. You know what I mean?
Listen, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
The only thing is, right, and I don't mean to lower the tone a bit here, yeah. But
here we go. No, don't do it.
No. Listen to me a minute. But at what point did he realize he needed to go for a number 2? Was it the moment he done the flip and it maybe jiggled things around a bit? Do you know what I mean? But it is, though,
you have lowered the tone.
No, you have lowered the tone. No, because look, if he needed to go for a number 2 before that, you know what I mean? It's like, listen, maybe to celebrate, I don't know what it is, but yeah, look, listen, I'm just having a bit of a joke, innit? But look, listen, when you got to go, innit? And the game was won anyway, so it don't really matter.
We've already spoken about Cedric. Somebody else to pick out in that game. I'm going to pick out 2 more people. Thomas Partey in midfield. I thought I like what I see. We haven't seen enough of it this season because he's been injured, but he's smooth, isn't he?
It's just everything he does. His passing, his range of passing. He can pass it 5 yards, 40, 50 yards, and it's on the money. A player doesn't have to stop, check, retrieve it. It's over here. It's there. It's where you want it. You look at the pass that he put for Aubameyang for the first goal. And it was so precise that Aubameyang didn't need to worry about what he was going to do other than run at the Newcastle defender.
Yeah,
because
that's
the ball,
that's the pass that what we've been wanting to see all season, in behind, so the player like Aubameyang receives it and he's immediately running at the causing a not the ball comes behind him, where he's then got to check back and then try and see if he can do a trick to get past the guy. No, you're in behind and he's directly running at a defender. That's where Aubameyang is dangerous. That's where Saka's dangerous. And too many times those passes have gone behind players. So you are right on that.
Yeah, they're either trying to retrieve them or... No, it's not for me. They're either trying to retrieve them or they're too far in front of them. But that is just... He can just concentrate on the goal. Nothing else. And there were multiple passes like that from Thomas Partey where... And the best way to describe it is the quickness of it. It doesn't give defensive teams the opportunity to set themselves, get behind the ball. Too many times we've had the ball, we take so long, and before you know it, there's 2 banks of 4, and we're going, here we go again. Got to try and break them down. He doesn't allow the teams an opportunity to regroup. He's literally got the ball. It's out of his feet, pass. It's out of his feet, it's pass. It's always forward, forward, forward. And it's progressive. And if you watch him, he's always making moves around the centre circle area or wherever it might be, edge of the box, and he's trying to pick up these pockets, and he's constantly demanding the ball. Constantly. And I think that as an Arsenal player, what I'm noticing is that when he first came, before he picked up his injury and stuff, is that maybe obviously there's a lack of understanding between players with him. And, you know, sometimes he never got the ball as much as he wanted it. But now, obviously, with training sessions and understanding and everything, players are now going, here you go, here you go, here you go. You can give him the ball with somebody behind him and not worry. Not at one point in that Newcastle game did Thomas Partey have the ball and I went, even when he was under pressure, I was like, just calm.
And I like the way he picks the ball up and drives it. You know, if there is a space in front of him, he drives into that space as well. And that's what Xhaka doesn't really do, and that's what Mohamed Elneny doesn't do. You know, so Willock does do that, but he's not. You know, he's liable to give the ball away. He's a novice still at that. So no, he's quality. And then the next player I'm going to talk, Emil Smith-Rowe. I mean, you know, we've been talking about this guy now for weeks since he's come in. He's been a revelation. You know, he's been, again, another exceptional game. If we were looking at this player from afar and thinking to ourselves about buying him, it would be like 30 million plus. I mean, he's been absolutely brilliant. He was brilliant again in that game. He was dynamic. And, you know, what a player he's proving to be. He's only 20, remember. The talk is this week now that they're going to give him a new deal. He's on about 15 grand a week. They're looking to, you know, up that to about 40 grand a week's the rumor. But definitely they want to tie him down again to a very long-term deal because he keeps playing like how he's playing. The very big boys are going to come in for his signature.
Yeah, they are. And at the end of the day, I know what you say there about the very big boys, but we need to be progressing and becoming one of those very big boys.
Of course.
So that, you know, so that you're not worried about teams taking our players. But ultimately, what Arsenal are trying to do now is not make the same mistakes that we're still paying for now. Only this week, we've cancelled Socrates' contract. We've let Mesut Ozil go. Kolasinac's gone back to Germany. These are players that we just done everything wrong with. And Arsenal simply, they're not going to let it happen again. This is why I didn't mind Rob Holding signing his new contract. Because what do you do otherwise? Do you let it go under the 2 years? And then you end up with a situation where you don't get anything. He's English. He's, the homegrown thing is massive. It always bumps money onto the price, rightly or wrongly, of an English player. So Arsenal have looked at it and said, you know what? His performances haven't been that bad. He's been doing very well in the side. Give him a new contract, protect his value. because ultimately, if, in a year's time or whatever it is, if it hasn't worked out and we do need to sell him, we've got that behind us. We have
somebody of value.
Yeah.
Players of value that other teams would want to buy, and if they want to buy them, we'll get something for it. We've seen so many players. We've seen so many players walk out the door at Arsenal for next to nothing, going right back to Alexis. You know what I mean? And I was working out this week as well. I actually, on my Transfer Daily show this morning, I was working it out. Sort of estimating the amount of money that Arsenal are saving. I estimated, right, and this is just a very rough estimate, that Arsenal have saved at least £542,000 every week by what they've done this week. They won't have to pay Ozil's £350,000 a week. They've already removed Kolasinac's £100,000 a week. Socrates was on £92,000 a week, right? So those three, that's 542,000. And then if you actually factor in the fact that Guendouzi's out on loan, we don't know why I couldn't work out exactly is we don't know what proportion of the wages Hertha Berlin are paying. But you got Guendouzi on 40k, they might be paying, I don't know, half or some part of that. Mavropanos is out on loan. How much of that are they paying at 25k a week? Torreira's out on loan, 75k a week. How much of that is being paid by Atletico? We don't know, but it might be a portion. And then if they can then shift out Mustafi, the rumors are, I mean, I know that Mikel Arteta was saying that, he's not looking to move out Mustafi this transfer window, that he wanted to keep him. There's a lot of games, etc. But there is talk. I saw a lot of rumors flying around today that he could go. He could go to Lazio. There's a couple other teams interested in that. He actually wants to leave this month. He's not getting a lot of game time at all. I mean, I think if he doesn't play on the weekend in that FA Cup game, I think that tells you all you need to know whether he's going to be staying or not. But if they shift him out, that's another 90 grand. So it could be that Arsenal, if you factored in the loan deals roughly, and plus if they got rid of Mustafi, could be saving over 600,000 or probably over 650,000 pounds every week.
Yeah. You've also got to remember, I don't know how much his wages were, but Matt Macey is off the books now.
Matt Macey as well. That would have, yeah, Matt Macey. I'm sure he would have been. If you look at a player like Smith Rowe's on 15 grand a week, and Matt Macey would be in a similar category, although he was sort of in the first team setup earlier. But you would have thought he'd probably be on the same sort of money, 15, 20k max. But it's still a saving.
It's still a saving.
It's still money that can be used now on other targets, and I don't think those targets will really come to fruition. Maybe in this window, all of them anyway. But come the summer, they've released a lot of funds there. And
look, I think that the Mustafi situation, he's the last of the bunch that Arsenal are concerned with. I think the three main priorities were Socrates, Ozil, Kolasinac. Get those three gone. They've done that. They've managed to do it. They haven't recouped anything. I don't think they were even bothered about that. It's just about getting them off the wage bill.
They weren't bothered because with the Socrates thing, they could have tried to hold out and say, give us a couple million, give us a 3 million, 4 million. He's still got 6 months left or whatever. But the reason why they've cancelled that contract by mutual consent with him is obviously that they're just thinking, like, no, we'd rather him just be gone, make sure he's out, and say to him, you can go and sort yourself out with another club. Do you know what? Actually, as we're talking about the Deadwood, I want to find out what you made of these comments today from Mikel Arteta in his press conference. Right, I've got the quotes here. Let me see if I can get it up. So Arteta was asked about. Remember, there's been a lot of talk about there being a mole in the camp, or is that
I would like to. I remember, but I would like to reference them as rats, not moles.
Rats, or as we call it, snitch, right, in the camp, right? Now, Arteta was asking his press conference today about the mole. So, do you know who these moles are? Been leaking out information. Remember, there was stuff that leaked out about the fight with Louise on the training ground. There's been various bits that have come out, hasn't there?
Yeah,
about the wage cuts and all these sort of things. And Arteta, because at the time when they asked him, I think it was back in November, he said that he's going to find out who they are and destroy them. Remember, he used that word like that, I'll destroy them. And they asked him, who are those moles? He said, I sort of have an idea. Yes, that's what he said when asked if he knows who the moles are. And then they asked him, you know, whether it was Socrates, right? And or maybe Ozil. And you know what his response was? No comment. He didn't say no. He just said no comment. So, and then going back to what he said, I'll destroy them. None of them played. It's starting to
starting to unravel.
Legal reason. Hold on. Let me put the caveat on it.
Yeah.
Well, me anyway. Legally, I am not saying it is Socrates. I am not saying it is Ozil. I'm just reading. I'm just looking at that and saying, boy, the way he sort of said that, you can interpret it like it could possibly be them.
It could possibly be them. And some of us have been saying for a very long time who the people behind the scenes causing the problems were. And look, at the end of the day, you know, he vowed to get them out. He vowed to destroy them. And it sounds like he's found out who they were. And he, you know, is getting rid of that section. There seems to be a clique within the team of Arsenal. And if you look at the players that have been shifted out, they all seem to be part of that clique.
Kolasinac.
Yeah.
Socrates.
And what did I say to you?
Ozil. And then like even the comments from Mustafi when, you know, Ozil left about, you know, we didn't always have your back.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. I just read in between, you know, maybe I'm looking too, maybe I'm going too deeply into it, but it does a bit.
Look, we've known there's been problems for a very long time at the club, and we already know that somebody seems to be leaking information all the time, and all it takes is a player to tell their agent what's going on. The agent then leaks it to the media and everything else, because some of the stuff that's been coming out is stuff that should never be coming out. That's in-house.
You know, that fight between David Luiz and that shouldn't be coming out.
No.
So, you know, you just look at it and you think to yourself, it's not just then if it, and I can't see if I'm not saying it's them, right? But if it was them that were leaking out this information, and obviously there's disharmony would be amongst them, and you can kind of understand it. They're not getting any game time. They're not getting any chances, right? It's not just the wages then we're saving. It's now restoring back to the group everybody in there that is pulling in the right direction.
Exactly.
And everybody in there now, you know what it's like. You know what I mean? When you're in anything that involves a team effort, you can't have cliques. You can't have a certain section of people saying, you know that guy DT. You know what I mean? And it just causes lots of problems.
Yeah.
So, you know, all round, this could be some of the best bits of business, even though we ain't brought no one in yet, that Arsenal have done for a very long time.
Yeah, and Arsenal, look, we've needed time to get it done. It's not, I see a lot of people commenting over the last couple of weeks saying, oh, why are you taking your time? It's so easy. Get rid of Socrates. It's not that easy. Because first and foremost, he has a contract and he still had 5-6 months left on it, whatever it was. You can't just turn around and terminate it without his permission. He's not done anything or suggest there's not anything happened to, you know, be a breach of a contract or whatever. So you can't just turn around and do it. We're talking about multi-million-pound contracts. So, you know, this ain't FIFA. It's not Football Manager. You know, you can't just dismiss them or get rid of them. And it's the same thing. Arsenal made it very clear, and we've said this all along, that we needed to shift these before we can focus on bringing anybody else in, because we can't bring anyone else in because of quotas and everything else until we get rid of them. Like it or not, we can't. Now, all of these issues are not Mikel Arteta's fault.
He inherited all these.
He inherited all of them. He's
Even
got to try and
Emery.
get rid of them.
To be fair, Emery had inherited all these problems as well.
Yeah, he did. But the thing is with Emery tried what Mikel did, which was put his foot down, say, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want, involving a certain player. And ultimately, the player won.
They destroyed him.
They destroyed him.
Destroyed him. And, you know, the rumours, lack of communication and stuff like that. And do you know what? I remember when Emery came in speaking to a couple of players who really liked him, really said that they liked the training, they liked what was going on, you know. So when I started hearing the things about lack of communication and stuff like that, I was quite surprised at first. But you know, yeah, listen, some of those players that have gone, it's for the best on both counts. It's for the best. Someone like Mesut Ozil now, you go into Fenerbahce, you're going to be able to play. You're going to be able to play in the team that's doing very well at the moment in their league. So you're going to be able to play. Whereas, and you know, he's taken a big pay cut to leave. But I think, you know, what do you want to do? Just sit around and just?
It's the best for everybody. It's the best for everybody, Robbie. At the end of the day, you just sat there and said, right, that over £500,000 a week in wages, all right, that we shifted. Okay, that's, do you know what I mean? That's staggering when you think about that. When you think about the players that were on those and the fact that they weren't contributing, it's not like we've lost a player that was a big part of the team and someone's just bought him, or, you know, like when we lost Alexis or something like that. These are people that weren't contributing. Kolasinac played the odd Europa game, but Ozil and Socrates haven't played at all this season, so they're no loss at all. Matt Macy was never playing anyway, and he never looks like he's ever caused a problem, and good luck to him in Scotland. And, you know, when you get to the end of this season, you've got to remember, you've got to factor David Luiz into this. You've got to factor, if he doesn't go this month, Mustafi into this. You're talking then wages in excess of £750,000 a week. 750 grand a week. And what people don't realize, again, is that you see a transfer, you see a player on the market, and you go, he's 45, 50 million pound, whatever it is. People straight away go, buy him. Buy him. Just get him. Just get him. He ain't costing a lot. You don't factor the wages into that, because the transfer as a whole has the wages factored into a deal. So a 45 million pound deal on the surface, given their wages, could eventually be a 70 million pound transfer when you accumulate everything, plus endorsements, sponsors, all these kind of things that footballers now have. Oh, he's got to wear this, or he's got to do, and even, as you know, with Mesut Ozil, got to have a certain number. There's all these kind of things that you need to weigh into transfers now, and why it's not that easy is just go in, there's the money, let's go. But what we're doing by freeing up that kind of wages is being able to not just pay players that deserve a wage, but restructure the wage, you know, because that's the biggest problem at this club, is the wage structure. So I mean, what we're able to do, you know, is perfect in that sense.
I guess, you know, I mean, you look at it, the other ones I was looking at is that, which we may not be able to get rid of, is Willian. He's on a big wage, right? Because we got him on a free contract and he's on a big wage at Arsenal. All right, we didn't pay a fee for him. At the moment, he's not justifying those wages. And Pepe as well. He needs to step up to start justifying his wages as well. But it is good to have got rid of a lot of those players. One player, though, again, that he was asked about today was Balogun. And Arteta was saying that, listen, we still want to keep Balogun. Balogun is still an important player to us. We're not looking to shift Balogun out of the club. But they still haven't signed a new deal. He also can walk away for free in the summer. And Arteta was also saying that, you know, he's going to have to bide his time. He even said, Eddie Nketiah is ahead of him. Right? So the chance, he's training with the first team. He weren't with the first team before, so he's now in the first team setup. And he also said, I haven't been leaving him out because he hasn't signed. It's just that, you know, there's players ahead of him at the moment. Eddie Nketiah is one of those ahead of him. Obviously, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Martinelli, you know, so it's going to be, I hope they can keep hold of him because,
Look,
again, you know, we've seen how good Smith Rowe is. Is it time to give him more game time, Balogun? I mean, I'd love to see him play in the FA Cup game at the weekend.
yeah, I would like to see him get a bit more game time, but at the same time, you've also got to look at the attitude and the way that players like Smith Rowe have gone about their business. You know, from what we're hearing, it's kind of like a game of, you know, poker between the agent and Arsenal. And that they're trying to, you know, get Balogun on a pretty big contract, a pretty big wage in that respect, more than what Emil Smith Rowe is being offered right now. So you could see why Arsenal are going, no, you've not done anything to warrant a contract of that nature. You know, we will put you on a new contract. We will put you on this. We can add bonuses or whatever it might be, but establish yourself, break into the first team properly, be one of our main strikers, score goals. And then you come back to the table and you have all the aces in your pack.
And I guess
and that's the thing. So that's the thing. And you look at Emil Smith Rowe, he's 20 years old. He's looking at it, and in modern terms, right? And this sounds really weird to say, but 40 grand a week is not a lot of money for a footballer, right? Now,
Premier League footballer.
Yeah, a Premier League footballer at Arsenal. Now, Emil can look at that and go, I'm 20 years old, right? Let's sign a new contract. In 2.5, 3 years' time will be the opportunity to revisit and renegotiate for a new contract. If I've established myself over the next 2-3 years, continue with the way that I'm playing, the form that I'm in, etc., then that next contract will be one where it's going to be 100 grand a week or in excess of that. So it's about biding your time.
Yeah, I don't even think it would be 2-3 years. I think what you see a lot of times happen with these contracts is they might turn around now and say, right, listen, you're a first team player now. Right, you've established yourself, right, as part of this first team setup. So we can't have you on 15k a week. That was like your kind of borderline under 23s first team, right? Now we're going to put you on 40 grand, right? You're part of this now. And then if he continues to be successful like how he is, it wouldn't be unusual to see them next season at some stage during the season say, yeah, you know what, come in, man, we've got a new deal for you. This is to secure you for even longer now and to reward you for the fact that you've stepped right up. You know what I mean? So that's
they did it with Martinelli.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to also look on it and say with Balogun, right? Look at Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe, he's been out on loan. He spent a season at Huddersfield. Really established himself there by playing regular football, right? You know, that really grew him up. He's been in and out of Arsenal. He's had injuries. He's not just turned up and just walked into the first team. He's had to work hard, and he's got his break, and he's taken it, right? So I feel that in the case of Balogun, you know what I'd like to see Arsenal do if they can pull this off would be to get him signed up to a new deal, then send him on loan. He's not going to get in front of the strikers that are here at the moment. I don't think so. Right, he'll get bit part games, even the Europa League now. I mean, it's getting in the next round. We've got Benfica. It's not, you know, I mean, it's not Dundalk. Yeah. These are games that, you know, and much as we spoke about it earlier, even with Aubameyang, right? How the guy for the past 2.5 seasons has been absolutely amazing, scored goals, won golden boots, won us FA Cups. And after a little bad run, and people are still saying, yo, get him out. Why is he starting? Drop him. That. So you imagine a young player, if he was thrust into starting at Arsenal and he didn't deliver, all that, yeah, Balogun got to start, will turn into get him out. Because remember, I was pointing this out the other day, when Eddie first came in at Arsenal and he scored those goals in the League Cup.
Yes, Norwich.
And everyone was going, Eddie, and... Now you got people, I send him out on loan. So I think that Balogun, sign him up, he could benefit from a loan deal. Smith Rowe was also at Leipzig, remember?
Yeah.
Went out on a loan at Leipzig, got injured through that, frustrating time. Balogun's not had to go through none of those things yet. We know he's a great talent, but he's not ready to play week in, week out in the first team at the moment.
Yeah.
The challenge to Arsenal, can they persuade him that long term you are gonna figure at this club, but you need to sign him up and send him out on loan to a good championship club or a good club in Germany or somewhere like that, where you're going to get game time, where you're going to find out week in, week out what you can do, what level you are really at, not just coming in for 10 minutes in a game.
Yeah.
So I hope they can. I hope they can get it done because we know he's a great talent.
We know that, and we hope that they can, progress it in that way. But the other player I want to mention on, and I want to touch on this subject as well, and the rumor is that they're looking to tie him to a new contract as well. Is Bernd Leno, and that's
absolutely essential.
Essential. And do you know what? He fully deserves it. This is a guy that, in my opinion, was under pressure. No, where to describe? The fans, we all know what Martinez done when he came in and everything, but it's as though certain fans or certain people forgot all about Bernd Leno and what he'd actually done for us and how good he really was. And they put him under even more pressure when Martinez went, because straight away it was comparisons. It's Martinez, Leno. It's constant. He had to get his form back. He had to get over the injury. And now we're starting to see Bernd Leno again, as he was before he got injured. 5 clean sheets in a row. The joint most away clean sheets in the whole of the Premier League. No, actually, sorry. I think he might be winning that one now. But everything about him.
He's having a great season.
Brilliant. He's brilliant. And listen, goalkeepers make errors. Goalkeepers do things. I was watching the Aston Villa game against Manchester City. All right. Now, you remember the first goal that Manchester City scored, this offside that they're going on about. It wasn't actually offside because we all know that it's second phase and all that. The reason why Man City won that ball was because of Emi Martinez's awful kick.
Yeah. But it happens. Made some brilliant saves in that game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it happens. It happens. Do you know what I mean? If Leno would have kicked that, then some Arsenal fans, bear this in mind, some Arsenal fans would have instantly gone, Martinez wouldn't have done that. And then when you look at the resulting goal, I felt that Emil was caught on one side too much and he left too much of a gap open on that side. If that was the other way around, it would have been, Martinez would have saved that.
I'm not
doubting him. I'm not
made
doubting
a couple of brilliant saves in the game.
I'm just trying, what I'm trying to put across here is now give Leno the respect he deserves, appreciate what we do have. Emi Martinez is gone. He's an Aston Villa player. He's not on loan. You're not in a relationship with him. It's over. Done.
But you know what the interesting thing is? The interesting thing is you've not heard no one say nothing about Martinez recently. So that just goes to show that, how well Leno's been playing. And that's the other thing in it. That's the other thing in this window, though. We need a backup keeper. What's going to happen? What's going to happen at the weekend? I'm going to touch on that in a minute, actually. What team we go for in the FA Cup? But
do you know what we should do? Do you know what we should do quickly? We should probably try and sign Emi Martinez as backup goalkeeper.
Nah, fair play to him. He's doing brilliantly at Villa.
Yeah,
he's doing brilliantly. Martin Odegaard of Real Madrid. When he signed for them when he was 15, he was the hottest thing in Europe. Yeah, hasn't happened for him there. He again has been out on Balogun. Take note, he's been out on many a loan.
Yeah,
including Vitesse Arnhem. I think Heerenveen. Last season he was at
Sociedad.
Sociedad. He had a great season there. Now the rumors is that he wants to go back to Sociedad. Is what I know. Guillaume Balaguer saying today that he wants to go back to Sociedad. Arsenal are in for him, though. That would be a good signing, wouldn't it?
It would be, because it's the best of both worlds. We can't really go and get the player that we want in this market, and we know we need that creative player. So this is kind of bring him in for 6 months, no doubt got the ability, young, fresh, hungry, wants to prove. And then at the end of the 6-month periods, you can go and get the player that you want, whether it be
or it could be him.
Or it could be him.
It could be it could be that he turns out to be the player that we need. And he's only 22. Emil Smith-Rowe's 20. Wouldn't it be great to see those two battling it out for that?
Excellent. It would be. And it, like I said, young, fresh, vibrant players that have got that energy and that enthusiasm and that will to learn. And what I think that Mikel needs to do is that he needs those youngsters around the camp as well, because when you get too many experienced players in the team, you need experienced players, but when you get too many, is that some of them, you can bring in and they could have achieved so many things throughout their career. But when you've got a young manager like Mikel, some of them can have that kind of attitude of like, I've won it all before. I've played here, I've played there. Do I really need to listen to? I don't need to listen to all this and do that job, and I'll just play my game. And and this is one of the criticisms of Ozil and stuff. I've won a World Cup and I've done this and I've done that. I don't need to do that and run here and all that. So what you don't get with these youngsters, or the majority of them, is that baggage, shall we say, of behind them. So they're keen, they're willing, they listen, they want to learn. And everything you're trying to implement into the squad, they take on board and go out and do it. And it's no coincidence that the youngsters have been the ones that are performing to a level that Mikel wants them, and the seniors are not. So I think that would be a smart move, because I like Bernd Leno at Norwich, but we're not paying £40 million for him, Robbie. You're not going to pay £40 million. I understand Norwich's situation. And again, this will go back to us trying to tie players down. Us trying to tie players down is the same reason why Norwich tied him down, because they're in a position where they can go, nah, ain't selling him, mate. But if you want him, there's your price. Good luck. It's way over the odds. But that's what you do when you've got the aces in your hand.
I think in the summer we can get him. Not now.
No, not now. Not now. And especially with Norwich fighting for, coming back. The only way we could get him now is if we pay the money they want, or they drop it dramatically, which they're not going to do.
They're saying right now that even 40, 50 million is not for sale. Remember, coming up to the Premier League for Norwich is worth a lot more than that. And they know that they still, work it out like this, right? If you come up, that's worth over £100 million to come up, and you'll still be able to sell Buendia.
Yeah,
you'll still be able to sell him if you want to sell him and cash in. You still because you'll be able to say, well, we came up, and he was an important player. So if you want him, we want 30 or 35. So
and then they've got the money to go and spend. The problem that Norwich have got now is that if they go and get 40, 50 million pound, for example, then who are they going to buy of that caliber for whatever it might be to come and play in the Championship? They've got a lot more. They've got a lot more, behind them if they can go come and play in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So I understand their position as much as I want in the Hosimoa thing. I don't know whether that's cooled down or whether Arsenal kind of stepped away the moment.
Yeah, that'd be a great signing as well.
It would be, but.
I think again, those are all summer deals, but they're doable now that they've got all this money off the wage bill. To me, there's not going to be no big excuses, with these deals. So
I hope Brighton get relegated.
Right.
The reason why is because I want Basuma.
You want Basuma and Lamptey, right?
All day. Listen, don't think that Lamptey hasn't signed that contract to protect his value at Brighton.
Yeah.
All day long. But the one that I really want is Basuma. If Brighton get relegated, then it makes it even easier. And on a side note to that, we play Brighton on the final game of the season. Can you imagine if we relegated Brighton? That meme of Ty would go viral. Yeah.
That's true.
You're a cheat, and I hope you get relegated. Do you know what I mean? That would go viral. How ironic would it be that on the final game of the season, we could relegate Brighton. Oh, mate, that would just be poetic justice for Ty, wouldn't it? But yeah, look, I think that the majority of what we want to do or can do will be in the summer. I feel so. You just need to be patient this window. Just let them see out this next week or so, and let's see who they do bring in. Thomas Partey.
I mean, it was very interesting that Arteta saying that, you know, phase 1 was getting rid of the deadwood. Phase 2 now is to bring a couple of players in. Yep. So let's hope we can get that done. Let's take a look at the FA Cup coming up on Saturday. Early kickoff, 12:15. Southampton away, then Southampton away again in the league. Both games as important as each other, because in the league we want to win that to keep going up the table, keep the momentum going. In the FA Cup, we're the holders, we want to win that. Both games are going to be difficult. They had a bit of a struggle the other night beating Shrewsbury, but they did get the job done. They had to kind of bring on a couple of the big guns to kind of get it done, but they got it done in the end. What team should we put out against them? In goal, right, we're going to quickly run through this. Going with our usual formation we've been using recently of 4-2-3-1. In goal is Leno.
All day.
And see, that's what I mean. We need a backup goalkeeper because
we ain't even debating it.
We should be saying to ourselves, let's chill out Leno for this game. Let whatever the backup keeper is play. But Runnelson's, I don't know.
Nah.
In goal, Leno. Right back, I've gone Bellerin right back. What would you go?
I would go with Cedric because I think that.
No.
I'll tell you why.
Cedric for the league game.
I'll play Cedric in the league as well. No, Robbie. Remember how little football Cedric's played.
That's why you don't want to burn him out.
No. He's not going to burn out by playing 90 minutes on Saturday and then another 90 on Tuesday.
Yes, if he's played a little game, he's had injury problems. You don't want to play him on Saturday and then again on Tuesday. No, I'd play him on Tuesday. I'll play Bellerin Saturday.
All right. Well, I'll go with what you want, Bellerin then.
The two centre halves.
Take Rob Holding out.
Yep, I agree with that. I'll put Louise there. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
because
Mary
won't be fit yet, and then Gabriel.
And Gabriel on the left-hand side. Good chance for Gabriel to come back now.
No Mustafi.
No.
Or even Callum Chambers. He's fit now, isn't he?
I think that it's a risky one to start him in.
I think they're looking to.
I think Southampton will go. I think Southampton will go relatively strong, and I just think.
And I also think they're looking to move him out.
Yeah,
left back. I've gone Ainsley again.
Yeah, you have to, because there ain't no one else. I'm not playing Saka, and I'm not playing Tierney. So I would actually go with Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Okay, let's go to the midfield. I guess El Nenny's got to be in there.
I'm debating whether to play Partey because he hasn't played no football. He ain't played no football.
That's you don't want him to get injured. The game on Tuesday.
Oh, Robbie, shut up, man. Stop worrying about players possibly getting injured. All right. At the end of the day,
I remember what happened to
you could leave your house and get run over. All right.
Yeah, you won't be saying that if he gets injured. You'd be like, why play him?
Yeah, but Robbie, it's a flip. It's a flip of a coin, yeah. Because if you didn't play him and our midfield got overrun, everyone would turn around and say, "Why didn't you play Partey in there? He hasn't played a lot of football. He needs minutes." I think this is a game like Newcastle where you could go, here's 65, 70 minutes. Another.
No. And then is Ceballos back? Is he, because he had a little injury, didn't he? Would he be fit?
Don't know. This is why I wouldn't want to go with a midfield of El Neni and Ceballos.
I'd go El Neni Ceballos or Xhaka Ceballos. Those two.
Xhaka won't play. Xhaka won't play. He'll come out of the side. And there's no way I'm having Ceballos. I'd have Partey and El Neni.
Nah, Ceballos, El Neni, I'll go.
No, I'll have Partey and El Neni.
All right, and then we're going now to the three in front of them. I go Pepe.
Yep.
Right. On the right, on the left-hand side, that's got to be Martinelli.
Yeah.
He's fit, right? So that's got to be, for me, that has to be Martinelli in there.
Yeah.
Who's the number 10?
Willian. You can't sit there and make all these claims about Cedric, Partey and risk of injury and then say you want Emil Smith-Rowe to play.
No, I'm not saying Smith-Rowe, but I'm not sure about Willian.
Who would you put in there then?
Maybe Willock.
Not done enough. I think that if you're going by Arteta, I think that he would rather trust.
He's done more than Willian.
Not lately. Willock's not done a lot either. I would say that Arteta would probably go with Willian.
I think, right, reluctantly for me, Willian going in there. And then your striker up front.
Judging by Mikel's comments, you'd have to go with Eddie because he's ahead of Balogun.
I'd go with Lacazette for this game.
No, I wouldn't. You can't sit there and, again, you can't use that whole phrase about, but he might get injured and we need him Tuesday.
No, but I just feel that if Lacazette was injured, there's options. There's more options. If Partey gets injured, what's the option?
Robbie, Partey can play on Tuesday in the league game and get injured.
Yeah, I'm not just on about injuries. When you've had a player that's a bit...
You can't keep living like that. You can't keep going, Look, if Partey was playing every single week and never had an injury, then I'd say, yeah, FA Cup game, out you come. But the fact is that he needs minutes. He needs minutes right now. Thomas Partey is a kind of player that has no problem with playing midweek, weekend. This is a guy that was playing Champions League, weekend, Champions League, weekend. So there's no issue with it. He's clearly over his injury.
Remember the Tottenham game? No issue.
Yes, but he clearly
with the man hobbling off the pitch.
Yeah, but Robbie,
and that cost us a goal.
Robbie, he clearly wasn't over his injury. He clearly wasn't over his injury. But since he's come back, hold on. Since he's come back, he played 20 minutes against Crystal Palace. No issues at all. Started the following game, bossed it.
Came off after 65 minutes.
Because he was knackered. Because he's not played no football in how long?
Listen, what I'd do for that game is I would go with the team I was saying there, and then I'd have a very strong bench.
Well, you do that.
I'd have a Aubameyang, I'd have all of those guys on the bench, Partey, all those guys on the bench.
You do that.
Yeah? You want to win the game.
I'm starting Partey.
You know, and you want your, save some of that for Tuesday because Tuesday's a big game. Yeah. But anyway, guys, if you want to do your team, get onto AFTV VIP. You can do your starting 11 on there. You've also got actually on there the match center, which is very good. On the match center, you can go into the match center and you can get all the stats around the game from Opta. So that's a really good piece as well. Maybe DT needs that, right? We'll show him that we shouldn't be starting Partey in that game.
No, shut up.
Well, listen, we've reached the end of the show today. Really enjoyed it. It's good to be talking about Arsenal in a positive way. Positive results, positive in the transfer window in getting rid of Deadwood. Bloody hell, things are looking up.
My manager.
We'll see this weekend.
Hey, listen, I'm not listen, at the end of the day, look, we've got a tough run of fixtures coming up. We're in a good moment. I look at the corresponding fixtures last year under Mikel Arteta. We won at Southampton in the league. We won at home against Manchester United in the league. We won away at Wolves in the league. So there's no reason why we shouldn't go into any of those league games that we've got coming up without any kind of, confidence. We should be able to go into it and go, yeah, we've done it last year. Let's do it again. Let's go with that same mindset. Let's be confident. Let's believe in our own, form at the moment. Only Man City are the only team with a better form than us in the Premier League right now over their last 5 games. In their last 5 Premier League games, they've won all 5. We've drawn 4, won 4, drawn 1. We're the second most informed team in the Premier League out of our last 5 games, which is where they base it from. So why not use that as confidence? 5 clean sheets in a row. Other teams should now be looking at us and going, not a good time to be playing Arsenal at the minute, actually.
Good shout. Good shout. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. That is a good shout from him. Don't forget the links for Profit Accumulator is in the description. And we will be back next week. And let's hope we can continue on as we are in the FA Cup and beat Southampton in the league next week.